Hi, I'm Macy.
And I'm Missy.
We're best friends
and business partners. And each week, we're going to bring you a quote that inspires us, and we're going to talk about it.
Join us as we break down our favorite impactful messages for leadership and share how you can apply them to lead with confidence and purpose.
Get ready for a fun and authentic journey into leadership, life, and everything in between. Well, hey, bestie.
Hey, bestie, how are you?
I'm great. Excited to be with you.
Yes, it is just the two of us this week. And I actually think what we are going to share is super, super powerful.
I agree. When you shared it with me, it impacted me in such a way that I was like, Macy, this is a podcast episode.
Yes, that's how we landed here. And I love that we could do that, right? Like, I love that we could have conversations just in our life and be like, this is something our listeners need to share or need to hear. We need to share it. So this week's quote or maybe a mantra. I don't know. I don't know if we need to do a whole
I don't know if it's a quote, but
like
it's something we need to talk about.
A quote or a mantra or whatever. But you're right. It is something we need to talk about. It revolves around this idea, like, when was the last time you received feedback and like you felt it? Like you felt it in your chest, you felt it in your gut, and you're like, ugh. Not because it was wrong, right? Everybody's entitled to their feedback, but because the feedback felt so personal.
I mean, just talking about it, I can feel it right now, right?
I know. I
don't know why, but it is like a go-to natural response when somebody gives feedback. It's like we take ownership of it. We internalize it, especially the negative feedback. And I mean, I could raise my hand, my two hands, my hands and my feet. Yeah. Like there can be a room of 50 people saying nice things, that you did a great job, giving you praise, etc. And one negative comment sticks with you and you feel it in your chest. It burns.
It burns. No, I love that. And that's what I mean, right? That's why when I heard this, I was like, I have to adopt this. And I called you and I said, I'm going to share something with you. You need to write it down.
Yes, you did.
You need to circle it. You need to highlight it. You need to underline it until it becomes the default. Because I think it can. I think it can become a default. So here it is.
And let's be clear. I did write it down.
I know.
Circle it, highlight it, and say, this has to be a podcast.
Yeah. All right. So here it is. Feedback is data, not identity. Let's talk about it. Feedback is data, not identity.
I'm going to say it too. Feedback is data, not identity.
All right, say it one more time for the people in the back.
In the back, okay. Feedback is data, not identity. And it's so good because leaders confuse performance with identity, especially high performers. And it can be positive or negative too, Macy, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
But speaking specifically, I think where our minds naturally go, like it's kind of to that negative, right? Like, so if the project misses the mark, we think, I missed, I failed. May even think something like, I'm not cut out for this. But feedback is about behavior, strategy, communication, execution. This is what it's not about. It's not about your worth.
Amen, sister. Say it again.
Okay, the whole thing?
No, just that last line.
Feedback is not about your worth.
So good. And like literally, I think when you can embrace the idea that feedback is just data, then you can start answering questions like, well, what happened? What worked? What didn't work? Right? Like that, those are data-based questions.
Yes, they are.
That's feedback. That's data. Our identity only answers one question. Who am I?
Yeah.
Two very different things. Data can be measured. Identity cannot.
Yes. I mean, I just have to pause there for a
I
second.
know.
Like that
So
is
good.
so good.
So
You know,
good.
data is observable, right? It's neutral. It can be adjusted. Identity though, Mace, it's emotional. That's why you feel it,
Yeah.
right? Identity feels permanent.
Yeah.
It can feel heavy.
Yeah.
You know, if someone says something like, let me think, like, your communication in that meeting wasn't clear. That is data,
Right. What? Because that
right?
answers the question.
Yes,
What happened? What is wrong? Not who am I?
right. But if you're like me, I'm going to raise my hand again. Then you just hear, I'm a terrible communicator.
Yeah.
What I'll tell you, and I've done a deep dive in this for decades, right? This is identity distortion, right? One is useful, the data, the other is paralyzing.
Yeah.
And when you're a defensive leader, like you don't want to hear that, you don't want to hear that, you can't grow through that. Like take the data and adjust what's going on.
Yeah, because I think what happens with leaders that do what we say is natural. Well, listen, it may not be natural for everybody, but
It
it
may
is natural
not.
for us to go to the negative. And when we view feedback like an attack, you tend to justify things, right? You tend to explain it away. You try to
Yes.
deflect it. And then ultimately, like, you shut down. And like you said it earlier, like, maybe I'm just not cut out to do that.
Yeah.
Is that true? No, it's not true. It's just data, right? And if you take it as data, then you could be curious about things instead of defensive.
That's good. That is really good because when you think about being curious and you're like, okay, how can I be more curious? It sounds like tell me more.
Right.
Right? Like what specifically didn't land? What would better look like? And what I would also say, Macy, is that the growth that we kind of spoke about at the very beginning, it lives on the other side of that curiosity.
Oh, without question. Right? Like, I think we have to retrain our brains in that underlined circle, heart, star, highlighted, is that data is just information.
Yeah.
Information is not who we are. And when you're given data, like someone says you're not a good communicator, for example, you just have to adjust, right? Like you just change a few things. Okay, I'm not a good communicator.
Whoa,
Tell
though,
me
wait.
more.
Maybe you weren't a great communicator in the meeting, maybe sharing a certain topic or a report.
Okay,
But
I
that
like where
doesn't
you're
mean you're
going.
not a great communicator. It means
Okay.
that communication wasn't clear.
Okay.
Because I think you and I are both great communicators,
Yeah.
but there are probably times where we share something and it's not clear, whether
Yeah, it
it's
didn't
because
land
of
well.
emotion or we didn't prepare or whatever it is, we don't have all the information. It doesn't mean we aren't good communicators.
Yeah. And it reminds me of when Julian was little and the teacher would say, Julian was bad all day today, which
Right?
at first I would internalize as Julian was bad all day. He's a bad kid.
Right.
All right. That started to create his identity until curiosity came in. And I would say, well, tell me more about that. Was
Right.
he a bad kid all day or did he have a bad moment?
Yeah.
Right?
And chances are it was a moment. Yes.
Oh, it was a moment for certain.
Yeah.
And I think that is, especially if you're a parent and you get calls from school, I don't know, they always tend to blow things out of proportion, but I feel like that's where you can say data or identity, right?
Yeah.
Are they giving me data? Does it require some kind of adjustment? Because your identity doesn't require an adjustment. Who you are is who you are. It's who God wired you to be. But the data will require you to step back. I mean, it's almost like your car, right? If your car has a dashboard and it's running on empty, you don't shame the dashboard.
You're bad, dashboard.
You're a
This car
bad,
is bad,
right? This
right?
car is running on empty. What you adjust. So, I think it's so interesting. We would never do that to things or other people, but like we really do shame ourselves. I mean, again, I think we're speaking to not just ourselves, but I think that on this podcast, our listeners are high performers. And I
Yeah.
think that almost everyone listening would say, yeah, why do we shame ourselves when results are off? Why do we shame ourselves when productivity is down, when profits are down? Because when we go back to the adjustment, right?
Right.
Strong leaders, great leaders know how to separate. They know how to separate between and kind of what you were saying with your communication example. I did something ineffective. I did something ineffective. It's
Right.
not the same as I am ineffective. Two different things.
Yeah.
I'm a bad communicator is different than I didn't communicate well in that meeting.
Yeah.
One is fixable. The other feels very final.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that you must do as you begin to understand this, and you're having the aha that Macy and I had when we heard it, is that you've got to teach this to your team too.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
They need to understand the
yes.
same principle. And here's why. Because if your team thinks that feedback equals humiliation, they're going to hide their mistakes.
Yeah.
If they feel like feedback equals information, however, they are going to bring problems toward you faster.
Right.
And I think that alone is going to increase trust and performance, and it's going to do great things for them as individuals.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're listening to this and you had an aha like we did just this week, we're like, we had an aha. We've got to hop on. We've got to have this conversation. We would love to know, right? Send us an email, shoot us a text, send us a LinkedIn, an Instagram, however you want to communicate with us, because this one really affected us, I think, Miss.
And I will tell you, I've done this my whole life. I mean, I go negative because I'm such a people pleaser. It's like I feel like I want to perform and please everyone.
Yeah.
And so a negative piece of feedback, it does hurt. It can stop you in your tracks.
Before you and I had launched our business, I did a training a long time ago. I still know who he was. I still know where he was sitting. I know everything about this person. A room full of 25, 30 people, glowing. This was so good. It was so great. It was so impactful. And one like, meh. I mean, he didn't say it was terrible. It was meh. And I was like, gosh darn it. It's been like 10 years. And I still remember that one moment. So if this affects you, we want you to write down, highlight, circle, star, underline, put a heart by it. We want to know.
Yeah, Macy, when you just shared that story, which you shared with me, by the way, when it happened nearly a decade ago. But think about us training. Like, we go in, we want to connect, we want to exceed expectations. We really do expect that the way we're going to communicate, everyone will feel involved and they'll be bought in. We train, I'm just thinking of one organization that we have trained close to 1,000 of their leaders. We had one person who showed his tail. So that's my grandmother.
I know where he was sitting,
right? I know where he was sitting. And I can remember us leaving that first day. For a moment, we got ourselves right together, but for a moment, we were deflated by that.
Yeah.
Now, we've had close to 1,000 other leaders from that organization tell us how our training had affected them, from being in the room to going
Changed
back
their
and
lives.
increasing performance, increasing profit, and changing their life, their health, their marriage. But this one guy showing his tail put us in a tailspin.
It's crazy. It's just
It
crazy.
is crazy.
But here's what I will say. No more, because we have it highlighted, circle line, posted on a sticky note on our computer that feedback is data, not identity.
So good.
This has been so good. Well, I think it's a great segue into our big takeaway for the week. So listeners, if you only take away one thing from this episode, let it be this. Your identity must be anchored deeper than your performance. Separate who you are from what you did. You're not your last meeting. You're not your last sales number. You are not your last mistake. And when you stop attaching your identity to outcomes, you could be steadier, more courageous, and more coachable.
Speaking to the choir, sister. And I will say you're exactly right, because the speed of your growth is tied to your response to feedback. If you treat feedback as an attack, you're going to stall, you're going to quit, you're going to feel overwhelmed, unworthy, stuck. But if you treat it as data, you can take it and learn from it and grow from it, and you can accelerate. The most effective leaders are not the ones who avoid criticism. I'm going to tell myself that again. The most effective leaders are not the ones who avoid criticism. They're the ones who take it and use it quickly to move toward their goals.
Yep.
Performance is going to fluctuate. You're going to have a good day and you're going to have a bad day. But you are you, and your identity is not going to fluctuate by how you perform.
So good. So listeners, we want to know, do you have a favorite leadership quote or maybe a mantra? Send it our way and we may spotlight it on a future episode.
And we'll be back next week with another quote and more leadership insights. And Bestie, you know what we're going to do?
I do. We're
going to talk about it. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Bestie.
Bye, Bestie.
Bye, listeners. Bye.
We want to thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, please show us some love by clicking the 3 dots to download the podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating on your podcast app and talk about it with other leaders to help them find the show from any of the major podcast apps. We'd love for you to follow us on social media too. Mpactful with an M _messages on Instagram and Mpactful Messages on LinkedIn.